What's up, everybody? This is Smooth Cosplayer, your favorite salsa dancing cosplayer. Y'all, it has been a minute since I brought y'all a video that was not a cosplay music video. I think maybe about 2 years, maybe. So I figured I would break the silence, break the streak by talking about my favorite subject, my favorite fandom. I'll get that in the camera real quick. If y'all don't already know,
Yes.
my favorite fandom is X-Men. So if y'all don't know, we just got yes, we X-Men 97 just got done, and it looks like we all survived the experience, right?
We did.
Yes,
Barely.
yeah, barely, barely. So I brought some good friends along, some returning guests to the channel, and we just gonna break all the way down X-Men 97. So I'm gonna do some quick and dirty intros because we got a lot to get into. We're gonna be here for a while, I think. I'm just go from left to right from what I can see. I don't know what everybody at home sees, but we got this Toya Simmons, aka Royalty Cosplay.
Hey.
We got DomiNYcan Night, and we got Sara, Moni. Everybody coming back. Thank y'all for coming for the first time. Whenever it is y'all came, it was years ago. Some of y'all before the pandemic, some of y'all after. But y'all, thank y'all for coming back. Just I don't even think I have to ask this question because knowing y'all how I know y'all, I think I know how y'all feel already. But just give me y'all's overall thoughts on the season, on the series so far. How y'all feeling?
I thought it was amazing. I would give it a 10 out of 10 for sure.
Mm,
Excellent writing, really thought-provoking. And then also I thought it was really cool how, the last version obviously was years ago. We're in present day 2024 now, but the writer was able to still connect
mm.
the eras and it made sense and it was engaging and timely and relatable. So 10 out of 10 for me.
Amen. Amen to that. Anybody else? Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll jump in, echoing. Thank you, Monet.
You're welcome.
We're
You're welcome, sis.
two Monet cosplayers
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
chat, so
It's
we
my
have to
queen.
recognize. But yeah, so I echo royalties thoughts as well. 10 out of 10. In addition to what you said, I'm gonna put the voice acting up there. That was
Oh yeah,
huge.
yeah.
That performances from everyone, it felt like simultaneously the comic books in my head, what I hear when I'm reading,
Yeah.
and cinematic in its own way. I think the voice acting with the writing was just phenomenal, and it was just a perfect cocktail of all those elements. So the voice acting, the animation style, I feel like was a continuation of like what it looked like mid 90s. A lot of those mid-range sort of cartoons, but it was still updated enough. So I feel like they struck the balance there.
Yeah.
With the animation, I think everyone's designs refreshed just enough, but not too much. And yeah, messages and themes were hitting hard, and they weren't too different. They weren't too different, but the lens of what's going on now is just still true.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like 1963 is still in progress.
Mm-hmm.
You would think it
But-
wouldn't be, but apparently not.
Here we are.
I think actually the show was amazing. Actually, as a being able to continue with the with the show, with a lot of the themes. Obviously, there's a lot of rich history from the X-Men that they can pull from, so that actually helps out a lot. There's a lot of the stories from Chris Claremont, obviously all the way back to Stan Lee. I like the fact that I felt like they did a good job of balancing out the characters, like in a sense of like giving everyone at least a little bit of time. Because sometimes I know one critique, at least of the movies, have been Fox movies, have been that they're Wolverine featuring the X-Men movies, whereas this was really a lot more balanced. actually Wolverine seems to be falling more into the background of it. There weren't really a lot of very Wolverine centric kind of stuff, which was refreshing.
Yes. Yes.
The show was entertaining, and I think it made a lot of people feel the feels, which is always a great indicator. I mean, and not a manufactured experience. It really does. Like, if you leave episode the second East for extinction episode. I left that episode. I gotta be honest, I think actually my background says it all.
I mean,
I'm just saying, I understand, and don't get me wrong, as a human being, I understand that two wrongs don't make a right.
However,
you can only push people so far before they basically have to be like, hey man, you guys are being real a-holes right now. We're gonna have to actually take you down a couple of pegs, knock all your electricity and everything out, and basically,
cut y'all lights off.
Cut the lights. Cut the lights.
Mm-hmm. It was like in class when the class is so rowdy, and then the teacher does the light switch off on.
Yes, we need to have attention. Right? Yes, yes. Man, y'all, I have not been this emotionally invested in a show in a long time. Not since the prime days of The Walking Dead, and they did that, and that show did not make me shed a tear. This one did. We'll get into that a little later, but yeah, like emotionally invested, making me look forward to every Wednesday. Like, it just all of y'all touched on everything I was feeling. I like piggybacking off the voice acting. Everybody who had a different voice, they made me forget that wasn't their real voice.
Right.
Like when I initially heard Magneto's voice, I was like, okay, that I know that's not the same person. I can tell it's not the same person, but it wasn't long before I was just like, wait, that's not the same guy. Cyclops, I knew, because I don't remember his the actor's name, but he's moved on. He's passed on rather. But I had I not already known that wasn't him, I wouldn't have known that wasn't him. Like, it sounds exactly like Gambit. That voice was amazing. Again, initially I was like, that's a little, and then 2 minutes later, oh yeah, it's fine, it's great. Yep. But yeah, it was weird. I give it a 10 out of 10. I normally don't rate things, but yes, 10 out of 10.
I like Rig's voice too, the original voice actor for her. I love that she came back.
Yes, I love her. It's like her, and this is not a knock to her. Like, I had a similar feeling with Peter Cullen, who does Optimus Prime. He's been Optimus Prime since we all was kids. And when you hear him in the newer things, you can tell that he's older. And it kind of had the same thing with her, but it was like, that's not a knock on them. That's just it's life. It's life. But it's still the same. It's still the same voice, still the same awesome voice. Speaking of Rogue, they really, really leaned into, you know how she would have her little, you look nervous as a long tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. Like that, she had like at least one or two new lines like that per episode. I was like, they really leaned heavy into that. The last one got me, the hey Baylor with the jetpack on it.
Yeah.
I was like, who was writing this? Cause like, buy them a drink for real, because they
Maya.
Yeah.
They was the scripts were just really, really well written, well thought, actually. A lot of great quotable kind of lines actually that can be picked out from it. Obviously there's the one with Storm at the UN, which was flat out just shut up and just
shut up,
like
and you
back up.
survive.
That and the delivery, all of it. She was just like, it was the best shut your mouth, man, and sit down and you might survive this. You might live this. That the speech actually in that same episode, Magneto's speech, where he's just like, listen, man, I'm trying. I'm really trying.
I'm trying.
You guys are testing my. I'm trying to be a good Christian man, but you guys are putting me through it, and all of those things. I also appreciated the fact that they added a lot more nuance also to characters that they reintroduced. Obviously, Morph. Reintroducing Morph into it and actually modernizing his their character, not their character.
Yeah.
It is again. It's a great. It's a show that grew up with its audience, which there's not. That's a hard needle to thread when it comes to a revival show or any kind of IP or property. The closest thing I can find that I can think of that really had the same kind of impact for me was as a fan of, not to deviate too far into different realms, but like God of War. If you've ever played God of War, the original games as a kid or younger, and then you play these games, it grew up with you. Your sensitivities and everything when it comes to who you are as a person. Yeah, when you're a teenager or you're a kid and you're just playing, you're mashing buttons and you're like kill, like the next series of games, there's a lot more maturity and thoughtfulness and just like really like they understood their audience, and I think they did that well with this show.
Yeah, I totally agree. Nail on the head. And you want to talk about another great story time? We can go off on that tangent another time, but
that's another show. We can do that. That's another show.
Another show. We'll be there. We'll meet you in Greece. We're gonna go back.
That's right.
But yeah, no, to your point, even with just the marketing, it was VHS tapes, it was box art, it was the TV guide. Like they knew all the beats that they were hitting. If you were 15 to 20, still catching cartoons in the 90s. If you were younger, if you didn't watch them until reruns, it still hit all of those marks. And I know we're kind of gonna get into it later, but to segue for the future, people were saying like, oh, it's just nostalgia bait. And all those people, it's just nostalgia bait. And like after each episode like came out, like that just got quieter and quieter. And Is it, or were you just ready to be a hater?
Right, pretty much.
This is so. It's always a thing when anything that's popular out. Like even like I was never a Game of Thrones person, but I got tired of seeing all the. I must be the only person on my timeline who's never seen the Game of Thrones. Like people were wearing it as like a badge of honor. I'm like, can y'all just let people enjoy things? Is that possible? Can we not hate on something? Like there's tons of things that I'm like, I don't care for it. I don't care for the T-Rexes at Dragon Con, but I don't make posts about it saying I hate it. Like
everybody has a thing, and that's okay.
Yeah,
exactly.
It costs this much to be nice.
Zero energy to keep scrolling, to keep moving past.
Or even actually, does your misery, the way I always look at it is that there's some people that are their misery is so overwhelming that it spills outside of them and they have to find a way and an outlet to pass it on to somebody else. And it's, when you're going to dislike something, and actually to your point, right now, Myron, is exactly that. Like there are tons of things that I'm not into, and my favorite thing to tell people is I don't yuck anybody else's yum, man. If you like this stuff, cool, great, wonderful. It's not for me. There's a lot of stuff that I think people think that we're a monolith when it comes to when it comes to geekdom. It's like, if you like this, you got to like these other things. You have to.
Yeah, you don't.
How do you not like Lord of the Rings? How do you not like Star Wars? How do you not like Star Trek? And I'm like, there's so much content to consume. Not everything's going to hit a vein with you that's going to be like, that's it right there. It's not. It doesn't work that way. The same way it's the equivalent of saying I'm a sports fan, ergo I'm a fan of every single sports team of every single sport
Nah, I ain't
because
got time
I'm a
for all
sports
that.
fan. It's exactly that, and it's sad that people have such an immediate negative sort of like or negative expectations. And don't get me wrong. I mean, we as fans we invest a lot of ourselves and our identity into these properties. So when things are disappointing, it's almost hurtful, like in a weird sort of way.
Yeah.
I will give the example of I love Morbius. When I in the 90s, I had the Morbius comic books. That movie came out and I was sad. I was sad. I was truly sad because it wasn't what I wanted it to be, and even though there was a movie where other people can potentially enjoy this thing that I like, it wasn't that.
It ain't doing it for you.
Yeah, but people will do that. People will automatically be like, "Oh, this is gonna be horrible," and it's just a lot of misery to just sort of spew out to other people.
Yeah.
It's totally true, and I think it's condescending to the media too, because it's saying that they're all the same. Oh, well, if you like one thing that takes place in space, then you must like all of them. Like, not the Roddenberry wouldn't like to hear that, Nukez originally wouldn't like to hear that, and there's a ton of others. So, totally with you.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier about like people hating on it because it was nostalgia bait. Like, I feel like that's the exact opposite of like like a lot of us old heads who like anything that's old. And we get a little annoyed when, the movie of whatever comes out or any new medium comes out for that thing. And we get mad when they cater to whoever the new people are. And it's like, the new people don't know no better. Why are we catering to them? So I feel like it was the opposite of that. There's so many people who I felt like why are you catering to all the old fans? Why are you catering to all this? I'm like, is there something wrong with that? Like, I think they did a really good job of, like you said, threading that needle. Like, I feel like they hit it right smack dab in the middle. Like, if you liked the original comics, stuff was in there for you. If you were only a fan of the cartoon, stuff was in there for you. If you were just brand new, there was stuff in there for you. And I might be a little biased. I don't know, but I do feel like they hit that. And I don't envy their job at all. Like, and I say this as somebody who has a really big love-hate relationship with the original Fox movies. Like, as much as I hate on that, I don't envy the job of the person who created that. I don't envy the job of anybody who's adapting something to something else. Like, you can't go so far and only please the OGs. You can't go so far and only please the new people. You can't only please the people who want to see the exact same thing on the screen. You can't. You're trying to please the people who want the same but a little bit different. It's like you can't make everybody happy. I feel like they made enough people
Absolutely
happy. Yeah.
Brilliant writing, brilliant angles and creativity, brilliant way to handle controversial issues, whether it be between characters or modern political and social issues. I mean, you could tell it was very well thought out. And to me, what added to that layer of brilliance was every episode was about 30 minutes and they were able to cover so much.
Yes.
Like, through the voice acting, through the animation, and through the brilliant writing. Like, I've not seen a series like that, kind of to your point earlier, Myron, in years, that really was able to engage myself, but then all kinds of other different age groups and people from different backgrounds. I just thought it was a complete work of art.
Yeah. I love how you mentioned it was all in 30 minutes. Like, one of the criticisms I keep hearing is, the pacing was horrible. It was too much, too fast. They're speeding through this storyline, they're speeding through that storyline. And I'm like, do y'all really want that? Do y'all really want, like, I'm switching gears a little bit here. From time to time, I would teach a couple, a wedding dance for their, for the wedding. And I've had a few people say, I want the song to be like 10 minutes. I want it 15 minutes. Do you really? So I
got stamina like that.
I convince them that I'm right. Not by saying that I'm right, but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put some music on. Y'all dance. And then 30 seconds in, they're looking at me like, when you gonna tell me to stop? And I'm like, oh, do y'all still want 15 minutes? You don't. So I say that to say, do y'all really want, because, you know, we'll get into these a little later, do Fire Made Flesh, that was several years packed into an episode. Can we say we rushed it? Yeah, but do y'all really want a whole season of Maddie, Scott, and Jean? Do y'all really want that?
Yeah,
we complained about that too.
Right. You know,
Like
what was
Sarah was saying earlier, and Mo. Yeah.
What was Life Death again? Storm was without her powers for 3 years. Now there's a few things that I would have liked to have seen. One thing I love about that whole period was we got to see how badass Storm is without her powers. I get why they cut it, but we didn't get to see enough of her, like see her leading the X-Men without her powers, see her like kick butt without her powers. I was disappointed we didn't get to see that, but I understood why. But yeah, that was a 4 year period of her not having her powers. Do y'all want Storm as bad as people complain about her being sidelined? And I'm not saying that's not warranted, but as much as we got her sidelined, do y'all really want a whole season of her not having her powers? Do y'all want that? Do y'all really want that?
And that's just it. Actually, you are absolutely correct. That was one of the things that if I had a let's call it a gripe, was that I really wanted to see them explore Storm as a team leader without powers. Storm actually basically challenging Cyclops for leadership and winning it without powers. But what did I get in exchange? I got a pretty concise story that basically kept it, here are the beats, here are the points, here is, and that's the pacing of most cartoons. I think I will say, in some weird way, good for better or worse, we have become a lot more, as consumers of media, we've become a lot more spoiled to long form storytelling, which is great. It's a great thing. Like, actually, you take shows that have done well in recent years, like Breaking Bad or The Walking Dead, where you have a story told over various seasons, over various, and so yes, if you want to be able to invest that much time into it, that'd be great. I don't know that X-Men, the animated X-Men, is the best format for that, because you really are, like, if you told me, hey, we're going to make a live action series, you might be able to do that actually, and have a lot more payoff to the pathos and all that stuff. But in this particular format, I don't know that it works that way. And again, not to deviate, let's talk about, for example, Invincible. I do remember actually that in that show, I've heard people criticize the fact that it was just like, oh well, the first season pretty much covers these many volumes of the thing, and there was so much stuff that happened in between. And I'm like, yeah, but you have to understand that there is a piece of that that's by design. Yeah. People who have read the book, yes, they got the opportunity to enjoy this long-term form storytelling. But the books still exist. You can still go back and read them exactly in that long form.
They don't change. They're still there.
They don't change. They are still there, and it's not gonna take away from your enjoyment of this new interpretation, this new version of the story.
Yeah. What gave you? Go ahead.
Thank you. I agree with you, Mo. And I think in addition to that, another maybe slightly but like different perspective, but maybe less popular, is that the pacing to me made sense, especially for younger generations, right? Yeah. Like, we're so used to being on social media and like having, TikTok videos be really quick, Instagram videos be really quick, and whatever, Snapchat, whatever social media platforms you use. And for me, from episode 1 to 2, that was the thing that stood out to me the most in terms of, okay, so what's different about this? And the pacing is fast, but it makes sense when trying to appeal to a wider audience and not just those who grew up on the animated series, but introducing some new folks to it too, so like the younger generations to it. So I see the utility in it, and I also see what you're saying too, Mo.
Yeah, definitely.
I was going to say, actually, real quick, I'm sorry, just for people who are watching, listening, just so we don't get too ahead of ourselves, there will be spoilers, I think. I'm pretty sure there'll be spoilers.
Oh yeah. Okay,
all right. I just want to make sure to put
I meant to say that in the beginning, so I'll just stop and say that now.
Yeah.
We don't do spoiler free around here. Sorry.
All right. I just wanted to warn anybody that might listen and be like, I wasn't ready for this. Well, there's a spoiler warning, just in case we go into something later on.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
because we haven't done it yet. I don't think we ain't spoiled nothing yet. I don't think we have.
I don't think so. I don't think
not too much. But yes, if you haven't already, pause, go binge this, come back, whatever. But yes.
It is binge worthy. That's another thing.
Yes.
Binge worthy. I actually was sad every time because the episodes were that small, 30 minutes, and I was like, dang, every Wednesday, can we get like a half the season release so I can get that in the other half? But I do appreciate the weekly releases for that build up, that anticipation and the excitement. Gives us time to process some of the hard parts. Because episode 5 took me out, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie. I was done. I was done. I was like, I don't even know how the season can continue.
Right.
And it did, and it did well. But yeah.
Jam.
I didn't want to jump in. I didn't want to jump in front of ceremony. Sorry, I was just because I jumped in front of her earlier, and I'm sorry. I jumped in front of you, royalty. I'm sorry about that. Sorry.
Yeah, so you got something?
Okay.
Oh
Sarah.
no, it's okay. No, we're gonna handle this just like Nightcrawler, and we're just gonna bamf in where we want to chime in and say yes, agree, yes. So no, it's nothing but love.
We all bouncing here.
Too.
We all bouncing here anyway, so
Thank you. Yeah, no, definitely. And like I couldn't agree more. I think the pacing and the weekly drops, as much as I wish, we could have it all at once. Like all of the conversation that happened from fans, from people that weren't fans, from naysayers, it gave a lot of time to brew and to get a lot of conversation going. And I miss that, and I like that. And it again lent to the classic, the nostalgia of like, oh, Saturday morning, this is where I have to be, and there's no other time. You have to wait for the TV, not streaming, but in this case, you can kind of get that. But I was going to just kind of add on to like what you were saying, Mo, with the pacing and with the timing. How many people are on the team? And for everybody to get their time, we would have to have, I would love a standard 22 episode season, but with where the budget is, with where the writing is, with where animation is, this isn't the cheapo Fox animation studios that it was back in the day. There's a lot more muscle behind it, so we're going to get something a little bit more condensed. But with that time, look at how much we got to see.
Exactly.
And that's the price to pay. But we got season 2, and we've got season 3 as of today. They just confirmed.
Oh, really?
It's coming.
I didn't know.
Can we get it tomorh? No.
Yeah, please.
Right.
Hey, Kevin, drop it tomorrow.
Got any more of them, the X-Men 97 videos?
And make sure you bring Bo back to write, because I know he wrote season 2, but I don't know if it was released that he's writing 3. Is that?
Yeah.
He's not. They said that I forgot the new writer, but it was something to the effect of we're going to honor what Bo has built up, so it's not like we're gonna get.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as it ain't Bryan Singer, I'm good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think everybody's thankful for that.
Yeah. Speaking of which, and we've touched on a few of these already, and I don't think we have too many of them, but any legit dislikes that you guys have?
I think actually the storm not being able to explore her without powers within the team, her story was really self-contained. And again, it's at most a minor gripe. I mean, other than that, I really would have to the fact that I'm right now just sort of scanning through tells me that I'm having to basically trying to pull something to say, oh, this is something that I disliked, which at that point it's nitpicking. I think you just, I'm a Wolverine fan. Would I have loved to see more Wolverine? Absolutely. Or more Wolverine centric stuff? absolutely. But that's what I have the original series, because there was a lot of Wolverine in that one. So no gripe, but an observation I think I have to make when the first episode premiered was, I feel like for a generation, many people were influenced by that specific interpretation of Cyclops. And I feel like people like that first episode were the writers saying we're so sorry.
Yes.
Cyclops is a lot more than just this.
The Boy Scout.
Yes, they really was. It was an apology letter. The superhero, the use of his powers and actually in the warehouse scene.
Yes,
then
that was beautiful.
And then the superhero landing. Both of those things.
Captain America better than Captain America. Like, for real.
Those two things were basically like, we are so sorry. Let's show you actually what Cyclops is, kind of stuff. Because, those cool kind of things, again, were reserved for like, oh, Wolverine's going to do something really cool here. He's going to go ahead and like, no. Or Gambit's going to, because Gambit's, whatever. No. This is what it is that he is not afraid of falling. He's checked in on his team. He's just like, hey, you guys are good. Great. Wonderful. Hold my beer. And superhero
totally
landing.
Yes.
Totally agree. Ooh. And what to a lesser extent, not like the powers, but I can't remember the episode, but when he sat down for the interview.
Oh,
and had enough. I was like, oh,
read them all
Scotty
for
mad.
all the filth. Yes.
Like, yeah. I felt that.
Yo,
yeah.
if y'all if y'all go watch Tiffy Starchild on Instagram, she's done a lot of good recaps of the episodes. There's a certain phrase, if y'all have ever watched Waiting to Excel, there's a phrase at the very end that she uses in reference to Trish Tilby. I won't say that phrase. I usually don't say the B word except for positive effect, but I won't say it on camera here. But she's like, you raggedy, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
Bran muffin?
yes, you raggedy bran muffin.
Witch. Raggedy Scarlet Witch.
I normally say a biscuit. You raggedy biscuit. But
raggedy biscuit.
But yes, to make Scott go there. Yeah, y'all trying, my man. For real. I'm sorry. Rosie, go ahead. I cut y'all.
I agree with what everyone's saying. It was nice to see. So Cyclops is my favorite character of the X-Men, and it was so nice to see this side of him. To me, it made him more relatable because I think the Boy Scout thing worked for, the time when the series was first created, but times have changed, people's lives have changed, and so I think that made him a little bit more relatable.
Yeah, Cyclops was also right. Him and Magneto.
Yeah,
that's true. That is true.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
For me, in terms of the question that you had asked earlier, like, what's our least favorite thing or gripe? I really don't have any gripes. I don't have any like major complaints. I guess maybe a minor suggestion for me, and this is just because I'm biased. I don't think the masses think this, but I would have liked to see a little bit more of I just forgot his name. Bishop. I would have liked to see him a little bit more. I did like the parts that we got to see, but Mo made me think of him because when you were talking about Cyclops' landing, his superhero landing, I can't remember which episode it was. It was early on, but X-Men were fighting some monsters or demons.
Fire Made Flesh. Yep. We're thinking of the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, how come that didn't go viral? Because when Bishop was able to show his powers in that huge blast, and I was like, and then Cyclops had his back and was like, just show him how it's done, man. Like, do what you do.
And then that simultaneous, you're welcome. Yes. One, they didn't like say this verbatim, but one thing they kind of subtly hinted at was part of Bishop's power is whenever he absorbs something from you, like he is able to dish it back out twice as powerful.
Right.
So there's no way Cyclops hits him as long as he blasted him. There's no way the output is what Bishop did if that's not part of his power set. So they was like, I love that they highlighted that subtle part there.
Me too. I wanted to see a little more of that, but maybe in season 2 we'll be able to.
Yes.
Since the final episode, he makes another appearance. So
there we go. So anything you disliked or you reaching for stuff?
This is a super reach. Okay, so I got really excited when they went to the club because it was such a fun thing and a fun moment and I want more mutant joy.
Yes.
I wish there were more good times. So having Life Death split with Motendo was a little bit of a jarring moment for me of like the pure happiest, most fun episode with a really heavy surreal one.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was just kind of like, okay, if we blend fire and ice, we'll just get steam. But I'm like, can we just kind of keep one to the other? So I would have liked at least one where it's like, okay, we before Maddie comes in and it's like, all right, Genosha's in, like we got it, like to have some breathing room and to celebrate celebrate a little bit. I would have liked that, and then for Life Death to have its own space. So
I did have actually one little gripe, and this is a gripe that is universal with any superhero movie that has a shared universe. Spoilers again for the last episode. So we have our mutant heroes trying to stop Asteroid M from coming down.
Yes.
And we know that in this universe, because they cameoed in them, there are multiple Avengers
2 seconds
out there.
earlier.
Multiple Avengers, and I'm like, what are you guys? What are you like? This meteor hits everybody. This is not a hey, this is a problem of mutants. This is an everybody problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Where is Thor? Where's
Iron Man?
Iron Man. So that's it. But that's a trope of most superhero stuff. Is like if you have a shared universe, you think to yourself, why wasn't this other person involved when there was this huge of a problem? Like why wasn't like this could have been resolved easily if this other person was involved. That was a thing. But again, it in a weird way it took me out of the episode because again, if they hadn't made such very distinctive, hey, we're going to post these cameos. Like the only cameo that I saw that made sense that they wouldn't have had any involvement in anything were the street level heroes because they can't do anything, and Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange in the middle of surgery, I get that. Like I can't stop what I'm doing. I'm doing this. Iron Man, Mr. I have an answer for everything, and I got technology for everything. What are you doing? What's going on?
Well, you have to say though, I enjoyed seeing us on camera, aka Cloak and Dagger.
Yes, yes.
Freak out.
I say DomiNYcan because we cosplayed that a few years ago. We killed it. We killed it.
Y'all did that.
But when I saw that, I was like, Cloak and Dagger's never on anything.
Yeah.
Sure, you right.
I loved it. I got excited just seeing Polaris in shadow and seeing Pietro and Wanda, and I'm like, okay, do I smell a retcon coming finally? Are the House of M coming back? Like,
we had old lady Polaris too.
Yeah, but Future and Rachel.
Future.
Yeah, no, I was cheering Lorna. Like I think all of the cameos made sense, and the ones that actually happened and morphs by way of morph. Those cameos.
That was brilliant to use his character as a way to introduce or reintroduce so many characters that we grew up loving. You know?
Yeah.
It was so creative. And they did it enough so that it was quick, right? But not too quick to where you're like, wait a minute, hold on, I gotta rewind that. Who was that just now?
Right.
So it was like it was quick, but everybody kind of to your point earlier, Mo, everybody kind of got their shot.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
So creative.
What about you, Myron? What's your little gripe if you had any?
Gotcha. Let me put a pin in Morph because we need to come back to them. My minor gripes, like I have no major gripes. Like I'm like everybody, I'm reaching a bit. The one that really stands out to me is I'm glad we got to see the Executioner. Like that's I mean, he was a badass villain. What I don't like about him was, so they did keep his same name. Like I had to look up what his name was, but Carl Denty, I believe. But in the comics, I believe he was like a former FBI or CIA agent. I don't know if he was ever a MAGA. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. I am going to accidentally or purposely conflate. Fuck out here. I'm sorry. Friends of Humanity Do y'all think that when you see FOH, do y'all have to stop yourselves from thinking?
I was thinking it. You just said.
I don't stop myself from thinking it. I'm like,
Okay.
oh, wow, they animated January 6th. That's crazy.
Exactly.
Yes,
That's
I know,
exactly
right?
what I thought, Sarah.
Oh,
Yeah. So side note, I don't know if you guys know New York Sixth Ranger on Facebook. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
He's been he's been taking it to the trolls on his page, but I made that same comment. I was like, it gave me legit January 6th vibes, and somebody had the nerve to come back and say, well, it gave me Black Lives Matter vibes. I'm like,
Really?
How tone deaf can you be? They are not. We are comparing not apples to oranges, like apples to eggs, like for real.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't think the Executioner was ever a part of Friends of Humanity in the comments. I may be wrong. I'll look. I didn't see it, but I'll dig deeper. But it really annoyed me that the same guy that they beat handily in the first episode ends up being the Executioner, and he's whipping everybody's asses. And I'm like, this don't add up. Like, yes, his suit, was, I guess invulnerable to energy, and I guess it might have had some. I found this out from just looking him up. Like, his suits had some like enhancements to like, enhance his physical abilities. But for him to be handing the X-Men's head to them when he got beat handily the episode before, that just didn't add up to me. So for him to have just been a random Friends of Humanity person, that just didn't make sense to me. Now, somebody pointed this out, Mo and Toya. I think we were on the what podcast was it?
Cosplay Alliance, you mean?
Yes, on that one. Somebody pointed out in there that Cyclops could have obliterated him at any moment, but only because he's always holding back. Two, he probably would have killed other people had he done that. But all he had to do was open his eyes. And
literally,
and
that's a point.
Execution, like and maybe he knew that. Maybe he knew Cyclops. I know Cyclops. He ain't about that life. He ain't gonna kill me, so I can just go to town on him. Maybe he knew that. Maybe he didn't. But if Cyclops like squints instead of keeping his eyes closed, he's gone. Yeah. So I'm like, have some respect for a man who could like vaporize you just by opening his eyes.
I do actually. I have that. As a comic book fan, I always have that conflict whenever the writer who's writing the book determines this person's going to beat this person, even though traditionally they've never beat this person, kind of thing. Yeah. And usually the way that I justify it to myself is that every dog has his day. Yeah. Every broken clock is right.
That dog did not need to have a day. Damn it.
I agree, but there are times where actually you just are on your A game.
Yeah.
And I think actually there is something to be said about that. I think that's usually the way that I do it, is that sometimes you're just going to have an off day, or maybe actually circumstances are that you have your attention is sort of focused over here, and you're able to as an enemy combatant that you don't have a lot of knowledge of, or maybe these enhancements that they have gives them a little bit of a different sort of dynamic in how they fight, that might in turn make them make them win the battle, because if because you have to suspend that disbelief. Yeah. Because you could take a superhero, you could take anyone, you could take Professor X is a perfect example. I don't see how someone who can, yes, he doesn't invade your thoughts, because obviously he from an ethical perspective, but let's say he did, he could see anybody coming a mile away and be like, yeah, I know your intent. What your intent? I'm gonna shut you down. 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 Yeah. Like, he could do all of those things, but you do have to sort of handicap them to go ahead and say, no, you can't go ahead and do that, because then that makes it you have no story, you have no conflict, you have no nothing. So I will say that was at least my personal justification for it, was to say he had a good day. Executioner had a good day. He had his granola in the morning, his coffee was just right, and he was just like,
he ate his weed.
Today's the day. Yeah. Today's the day. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and pop.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
the same thing that.
No, go ahead. You good.
I think the same thing that was on the X-Men's like hindrance was like his boost, and I think
Yeah.
it was the people and the
Mm.
visibility. He's like, this is
Right.
my time to shine for like, oh, you guys bleeding hearts for these freaks, for these weirdos.
Mm-hmm.
Here's me and all of my, bigot cronies. They're cheering for me, but I know
Right.
that they're not going to go off. Because again, one I-beam, a column comes down. That's 50 people done.
Yeah.
Also,
Mhm.
because they've fought before, I think that too, like what you were saying, Mo, he's on his A game because he's like, well, I know how you fight now. And no one was around then.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take that and apply it to today.
So Sarah, what you're trying to say, what I'm extrapolating from it is
Yes.
that it's the same as like when you're a parent and your child is acting up, the way you're gonna whoop them in the house is not the same way you're gonna whoop them when they out in the streets. You just sort of like,
Your kid know you're not gonna go as hard in public.
Yeah.
boy, when I get you home, it's a different
Mm.
story. Like that's basically what it comes
Yeah,
down
it's the let's mind our manners, but then the eyes are just like, okay,
Yep.
I'm like, the chocolate's coming when I get home. Like I know it.
Right. The chocolate. Yes.
Oh my God, I
Yeah.
love it. Thank you so much for saying that, Sarah. I really appreciate the chocolate part was chef's
Yeah.
kiss. Thank you.
Oh, look at this.
Yo, I was just thinking, and Sarah, you kind of amplified this too. I was thinking also the cameras are on.
Mhm.
So like I just had that thought, like maybe Cyclops is like, if I kill this muff on camera, this is not a good look for us. I still don't like the fact that he was getting beat with a Mega Man Buster Cannon, but whatever. Yeah, the only other dislike I had, and Toya, Sarah, y'all probably saw this coming for me, knowing who my waifu is, but I was just like, do not give me blink and you'll miss it shots of Psylocke.
Yeah.
Stop
Yeah.
playing in my face. Give me my baby.
You got to see her twice.
I'll say this. I got to see her as many times in one season as we got to see her in all 5 seasons of the previous.
Wow.
We saw her in maybe 2 episodes of Beyond Good and Evil, and she had a sneeze and you'll miss it appearance in that first Mojo episode.
Yeah.
I think they drew her hair a little bit too light in that one, but anyway.
I remember that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yes, but it's Morph though. I like Morph, but it's not really her.
Yeah, we see Betsy
But I
for like
think-
1 second at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
At the end. Last episode.
But yeah, so speaking of Morph, I had to go back and look at the last time he showed up. Okay, not the last time, because the last time he showed up was a series finale. But there was an episode where he came back and he had gotten over his trauma and everything. So it was him versus Master Mold. He finally broke free of Sinister's control, but he was like, you know what? I'm still not ready to come back to the team yet. I saw him actually take on other people's powers in that episode. And I was like, whoa, I forgot that he did that, because I think he transformed into a Mimic. And he's flying around, shooting out the blast and everything. So Morph has been able to do that the whole time.
Right.
But a lot of people are wondering this. What exactly is the extent of his powers? Because
Right, what is his limitation?
because he really could. Is he overpowered? But at the same time, I'm like, there's no way. If you have the full power of Juggernaut, Trish Tilby, even as a Prime Sentinel, should not have been able to handle him. So I'm like, I just want at some point for them to like say, hey, this is exactly what his power set is.
What his limits are, yeah. And I agree. I think actually again, going back into my own personal headcanon, I feel like every time he's shifted and only been able to use one power of the person he's shifted into. And it is the best thing I could equate it to is I remember watching an episode of Batman the Animated Series when it was an episode on Clayface, and he was explaining to somebody how hard it was to maintain a persona. He was just like, it's like tensing a muscle. That's the way I feel like maybe it is for Morph. Morph can go ahead and transform into something like the Hulk, but it is maintaining all of the factors that make you the Hulk: strength, all the invulnerability is like tensing a muscle. You have to release after a while. You can't stay in this form. You can't just, because then you do become overpowered. Then because he did actually turn into Quicksilver and was able to use Quicksilver speed. So even so ultimately he's sort of overpowered, but at the same time is like, what's the limit of that? Like, does he how long can you hold that form and the powers on top of that and actually keep the mental concentration to do both? I'm hoping, yes, at some point they may explain it and say specifically, hey, this is it, but that's what I think, at least.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Totally agree. I feel like it's like making like an actual copy. Like if you put like a nice high res photo onto a scanner, it's not going to be like a 1-to-1.
No,
and
right.
I think of Mystique, who is also absent, possibly, but who knows?
Right.
And thinking of like movies and other lore when she's in different forms, it's not a complete 1-to-1 transfer. Like Logan can still smell that she's different. And
Right.
it's like, okay, you're not this person. So yeah, I think it definitely has to do with energy. Emma can't be telepathic in diamond form because then that's your super OP. So I think it's a 1-to-1, and every time there was a shift, it was like one punch. The Quicksilver scene was just like, I'm gonna make my one dash and kick and then I'm back to Kevin Town. So
I do while we're on Morph, I do want to actually bring up something that I think is, again, a progressive piece of what this animation was, which was not only bringing them into the fold as a non-binary, but also as obviously very, very, I won't say hinted because I think it's flat out told.
Yeah.
There is a relationship there that he either has with Wolverine, or maybe perhaps actually they are pining for Wolverine. I got the impression, especially in I think it was episode 2 or episode 3, when Wolverine is sort of sulking and Morph throws something at him, then transforms into Sabretooth, and then actually Wolverine fights with him. That gave me the vibes of a playful, like, it's playful fighting, but at the same time, it's like, you guys are doing some more, and I'm like, and I'm all for it. I'm like,
the bag of chips to the face, like directly to the face. I was like,
I was just like, especially since in the comic book now they've established that, that Cyclops gene and the Thruple. It's not popular with people.
They try to sneak it past us, like that interconnected room. Like they don't say it in words at all. But if you pay attention to it, it's like, hold up, that's connected. Them other rooms are not. Oh.
I'm happy that they are expanding upon that they're not putting, and especially with such a character like Wolverine, because I feel like again, Wolverine, a lot of comic book characters tend to get their who they are perverted into very, very narrow-minded sort of ideologies. Like, perfect example is obviously the Punisher. Punisher's symbol has been co-opted into this sort of like whatever, even though if you've read the comic books, the Punisher doesn't care about the cops, but here we are. And so I think actually it's great to see a character like Wolverine, who is, again, machismo incarnate. He's the best he is at what he does. He chomps on cigars. He's whatever. And to have it be that, hey, he might very well be in this version bisexual.
Yeah.
And you can't be over 200 years old and not.
That's the other thing. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, that's the other thing.
I've heard people say that about vampires. It's like you can't live that long. Like, you're gonna get bored at some point. Like, well, let me try this. I mean.
Exactly. And not only that, but also, who are you, like, when your attraction doesn't change, it's not a case of just sort of being like, if you've been around that long, and that this is not obviously saying, hey, that you're choosing your sexuality, not at all.
Yeah.
But you can actually, evolve your how you think about it and think about actually, what it is. So that last scene where they, right before the Asteroid M disappears and he professes his love to, or they professed their love to Logan,
Yeah.
was extremely touching. That was a profession. It was just like, granted, they did take the form of Jean, which in a weird sort of way is a cop out, but at the same time, I'm like,
I think he did. I think he did that for Wolverine because I think he needed to hear it from Jean in that moment. But I think he was also doing that for like, I know you need to hear Jean's voice right now.
Right.
Also, Bo has come out and said, like, it's what's the word I'm trying to look for? He just came out and said it. Hey, Morph was confessing their feelings for Wolverine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I kind of looked at it as a unrequited thing because like every time Morph says something to Wolverine like almost immediately is looking at Jean. So I do think Wolverine knows. I think and I think it's really like just like you could have a guy that thinks he's in the friend zone. I said, big quotations on that, but like somebody don't like him back. I mean, the same thing can happen, and I think Wolverine. I think their relationship is good enough to where like, dude, I know this is how you feel. Like, I don't like you like that, but you're still my boy. Like, I'm not pushing you away. Like,
right.
Morph was always the first person to bring him a drink, first person to be like, hey, blah 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 happened with Cyclops and Jean. You want to talk about it? Like, I feel like they still have a strong relationship, even if that part isn't there. And it might not be unrequited. It may really be something that they just not going to put on screen.
Well, and I'm interested to see actually if they do decide to do it, because the other thing Fire Made Flesh did in that scene, and I know some people have made the comment about this, is that so Morph walks in and he to who they believe is Wolverine taking a shower, and they're like, oh, I can scrub your back. If you don't, that's where it's sort of heightened to say, if you don't have that kind of relationship with the person, that's not an invitation you would make. Exactly. Joking or not, it's so that's where it can be interpreted either way. Is that I think actually people might think of it and be like, oh, he was they were I'll wash your back and just to gauge, hey, are you into it? If you're not, I'm kidding. But if you are,
so only want to if you want to.
Only want to if you want to. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's dive into. I would love to hit every single episode, but as much as we all would love to talk about every single episode, I don't think we got the time. So let's jump to right in the middle. I think this is the one that hit everybody in the feels. Remember It. Like I went into it knowing it was a Gambit episode because
that line.
That line. That's him. Did I expect to see him go? No, not at all. Like once shit started hitting the fan, I knew somebody was gonna go.
Right.
But nah, I did not see that. So
I think that's what took me out.
Yeah.
I didn't predict it.
I'll come back to mine, but where did that episode take y'all?
I think it took me all over the place emotionally, right? Yeah, it was just well written in terms of the climax, right? Like there was action and things to pay attention to through the entire episode, so I was always on the edge of my seat, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, and that battle came at the end. And then Rogue delivered her line. I was done. And I was like, this is an animated series. Why am I crying like they're real people? So powerfully done. Well timed too in terms of the voice acting.
Yeah.
I don't have a soft spot for Gambit. Gambit's never been really well, no, I mean, I don't dislike him. He's just not been one of my favorite characters. But I will say I do have a soft spot for villains on redemption arcs.
Yeah,
I do.
Same.
It hits some kind of nerve for me. So to see Magneto, basically the scene that got to me, that really like sort of tore at me, was him with Leech.
Yeah.
Leech. That was it. It was, you can see the you could see all of those emotions in an animated in a you can see all of that, and you can see how much he was giving everything to make sure he was just like, I promised this kid I was going to give him a better life. I promised him that we were going to do better. And so, not to skip ahead to obviously E is for Extinction, but I gotta be honest, when he got out of there in his tidy blackies,
Zadnito.
it was Zadnito, and he just went to he didn't even stop to get a coffee, clothes, nothing. He was just like, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go up to this polar cap. I'm gonna go ahead and shut everything off, and then we're gonna talk. And even then, and even after all of that, the thing that I find, Magneto's always been a fascinating character. I've always, out of all the villains, he's always been my favorite villain, because I love a villain that has a motive that is relatable. Like wanting to take over the world is whatever. It's super overdone.
Yeah.
But if you are just like, hey man, I don't want my people to go through the same stuff that I know how trash humans are. Right. I don't want them to go through this stuff. Now, granted, are my methods great? No, absolutely. They're not. They're really abysmal a lot of times. But just the fact that he comes back to Xavier and he's just like, listen, I'm going to tell you guys, roll with me. You guys, I tried Xavier's dream.
I tried
it. I did.
You did.
Y'all made me let you down.
I tried it, and look at what they did. They put me in my undies, man. They put me in my undies. Yes, they gave me a clean shave. That's cool, but still, no more of these shenanigans, no more. So I will say that specific for that episode, going back to your initial question, that was a scene that for me hit that emotional sort of like, again, Gambit's death obviously did have actually it well written, very, very actually very highly emotional, sort of the whole hero sacrifice. But for me personally, Magneto's hero sacrifice was the bigger thing. Like that one was really like, and the fact that at the end of the day, even after everything he did, because even obviously he survived, Leech didn't.
Yeah.
Even after all of that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be a downer. I'll shut up now.
The other thing. Oh, go ahead, Sarah. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying it's a heavy one. I mean, take the reins.
Well, the other thing other aspect of that episode that I really liked was the exploration of the relationship between Rogue and Magneto.
Yeah.
I thought that was so awesome. They added
saucy. That was so saucy. That dance in the air.
Right? I was like, there was a sensuality to it, but it wasn't over. It was like, it wasn't overdone, right? That you could actually say, oh, wow, like they really did have a little something going on. And it's kind of sparking back up again. And then she got to choose, Rogue's got to choose between, the guy that she can touch versus the one that she can't, but she loves them both. It was just, that was a lot.
Lost them both.
And he's got that daddy vibe, man. I mean, let's call it what it is. Magneto is a zaddy, man. That's zaddy all day, every day. I will say this actually, and I don't want to just throw it out. I wanted to before Sarah actually chimes in. I was gonna say just for you, Myron. Just saying, maybe actually need to find somebody to dress up as Rogue. You could dress up as that version of Magneto in the bachata thing. Just saying. Just saying. You do that, and you do right in the center with your bachata.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Happy nation, living in a happy nation. Ace of Base come back, and I'm like, it is 97.
I know.
Man, I'd never heard that song, but as soon as I heard it, I was like, this giving heavy Ace of Base right here. I'm like, oh, it actually is.
It is, yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, that was a good pull right there.
Sarah, what were your thoughts on that episode?
I had to take notes. I have pulled up my notes.
Okay, girl. Sarah was prepared.
Hold on. I want to go ahead and actually get my hands properly right here.
Yeah. What you thinking about? Yeah.
Invisible popcorn.
Yeah, my pop. Okay. So I'm gonna power through these just because I don't want to get. I can, but so back to the mutant joy.
Mm-hmm.
We get to see Genosha.
Yes.
We get to see Genosha. There's a little bit in Wolverine and the X-Men, but it's very dour and it's clear that things are going to go south very quickly. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. But we also get Nightcrawler's introduction. My blueberry heart was a beating.
Yes. My friends.
I know. It's like, oh, my friends. Like, I just want to be your sweet honey Fraulein. That's all I want. That's all I want. So seeing Nightcrawler's characterization, fabulous. Also, his original VA coming back, there was a balance, and it wasn't just like, oh, what's his thing? Monk. It's like, no. He's a very fun-loving guy, and I feel like we got to capture that and see both sides of him. So seeing that, also seeing that sibling bond with him and Rogue. I think, like, where is Maza? We don't know. Like, doesn't matter because it's just us. I think what makes this episode so successful, to touch on what all of you guys have said, it is very relationship heavy. So Rogue with Magneto, Rogue with Gambit, Rogue with Kurt, all different types of relationships. The team that went, and then the team that didn't go. And a little bit of survivor's guilt, but I feel echoes later.
Yeah,
I'll get to that. The way that Remy handled their breakup.
Mm-hmm.
Done. You could tell this is a character that, like, they always knew the potential writing on the wall, and I feel like the line he's just like, "Don't worry, Cheryl, we'll still be friends." Like, I understand you. I see you. I love you. I'm not just in love with you.
I love you enough to let you go. That part. That broke my heart was broken for him.
Right.
Because he loves her so much.
Yeah, like, nobody had died then, but I have. And so it makes that sacrifice later when he looks up and he knows, I know what Anna's going to do. I need to jump in. And the fact that he had zero hesitation, he didn't even bother. Oh, Rogue, stop, Cher, come back. He got on his bike and went.
Yes.
Because he knew this stubborn Southern woman will not stop for me. When has she ever? When has she ever? The last time I tried to get all flirty in the comics, she threw me out the window of a convertible, or out the roof of the convertible. Like, it was such a great characterization of him and their relationship, which made that ending so crucial. And his hero moment just went out, complete royal flush, no hesitation.
Literally.
Did it for me. And then you're talking about Leech Mo, the fact that Magneto said what he did in the mother tongue.
Yes.
Yeah. Good point.
He went in German. I'm like, you were saying the last time you probably said this was maybe to your mother, maybe in a camp.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Remember it.
That's right.
Remember it.
Woo!
Great summary. You did that, Sarah.
Yeah, sorry, I had to tick all the boxes, but I had to have some good and heavy.
That was absolutely
Yeah.
One thing, Sarah, that you mentioned, and I love that you brought this point up a little bit ago, but it ties back into this episode 5, is to be able to see that joy more, like mutant joy, and celebrate it. And I think that this series does a good job, as well as like series like Star Trek and things like that, to sort of touch on really controversial issues, or for people who are marginalized and a part of marginalized communities to see themselves within the characters and within the story arc. And so I feel like a lot of times, just being African American and part Hawaiian too, I think, brown and black people would love to see more joy in real life too. So the
Yeah.
fact that we didn't see that much of it in the series makes me sad, but it also, I'm like, well, this is real life for many people, right? There's moments of joy. It's not completely joyless for some people, but I would like to see more joy just for brown and black people. And in the cartoons case, for mutants.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
I think actually that is in a podcast we were on before, that was one of the things that one of the panelists had said, was that they were, one of the things that made them the most upset was in their fiction they saw such a reflection of heartache that we see in our lives.
Yeah.
It's hard to it's trauma porn is actually unfortunately something that has become more and more like a thing in the zeitgeist, where people are like, and you see it in movies, and you see it in like movies like Antebellum and stuff like that. It's just sort of like, here, let's throw these ideas and these concepts at you that really talk about all these horrible things that your life experiences have led you through. And the X-Men being actually, and in the realm of comic books, not that this has ever been that it hasn't been this for many years, it hasn't been as heavily right there, this is what it is, this is what you're looking at when it comes to what the worst of humanity is, that we have the potential of being great, we have the potential of doing great things, but we also have the ability to just be destroyers, and that's in the episode where Valerie Cooper gives her whole speech. That's exactly it. Is that she's just like, hey, the part of me that was the most disappointed about the entire thing is that ultimately this guy, who at the beginning I was just sort of like, man, you're just a kook. You're just trying to be. You're a zealot. You just don't want to go ahead and actually try to. You're just a terrorist. You're trying to make us all into villains. You're trying to make us all. And she's just like, well, this guy's right. Unfortunately, we are the absolute worst that we could possibly be if given the opportunity to be the worst. So to segue that, actually, I want to, and not to steal your thunder, Myron, actually, what do we think about the big reveal of our villain, our main antagonist of at least the latter portion of this season, a Mr. Bastion?
Wow. Yeah, that Bastion reveal. I remember watching Life Death Part 1 on my second time watching it. I'm looking at the pictures on Forge's wall, and I'm like, record stop. Now I did not know a whole lot about Bastion. Like I know him when I see him. I know he's a problem. I remember reading him in I think it was Second Coming, because that's when he kills Nightcrawler, right? It's funny.
Yes.
I had read.
I think so. Yeah.
I read what you were talking about, but I didn't realize it at the time that you said it. I was like, oh, he kills Nightcrawler. I'm like, wait, I've read that. It's been ages. It was like probably at least a decade ago last time I read it. But I remember seeing him, and of course he's like kind of partially covered, but they go past it twice. I'm like, there's a reason they want us to see this. So right. I'm like, I didn't know what to do with that information at the time, but I'm like, there's a reason they're showing Bastion here. He's finna show up at some point, and damn it, he did. Did he?
Yeah, Sinister is just like you thought, but
you thought.
Yeah, there's more.
Yeah, and then he's actually in Genosha, like right after Magneto comes in, like, and I wouldn't have known if I didn't see it on I think New Rockstars pointed it out first. But yeah, I was like, wait, that white hair that went past, that was him. I'm like, why is he here? Val Cooper's fault. Damn it. But yeah, that episode, I wept.
Thank you.
Like, And to give y'all a little background on me, I'm gonna try and be concise with this because this could be a longer explanation. You're talking to somebody who spent a good, I want to say 2 decades not crying. Like, just from, it was never no, to my parents' credit, it was never you're a man, you're a boy, don't cry, you're a man, don't cry. It was never that, but super sensitive when I was a kid, would cry over everything. And of course, if I was holding it together, one of my parents would say, "Don't you start crying again." And of course, that would, I can't hold it together now because he said that. I never liked how I felt when I was angry. Like, I would start mumbling and stuttering if I was mad. And of course, if we're in an argument and I start stuttering, you're not taking me seriously. So a combination of all those things, just, I don't know how I did it. It just got to the point where I stopped feeling certain things. So I think fall of '98, my dad took me off the football team, not because I failed a class, because I was failing a class. Like, it wasn't final. So that was the last time I cried until like early 2017. And I was like, oh, my tear ducts finally worked. So went that long not crying. This episode made me cry twice. So that's saying a lot. So first of all, you know, X-Men is getting there. It's always on some soap opera stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like we were I was me and Naya, for those of y'all who don't know, that's my wife. We were watching Fire Made Flesh together, and I was explaining to her, you know, how much they condensed that episode, and she was like, "Wow, X-Men is really just a soap opera with superheroes." And I was like, "Babe, you have no idea how right you are about that." Like, my normie non-comic book fan wife pegged that from just one episode. I'm like,
she's
yeah,
good.
you're right. Yeah, she is. So they were leaning heavy on the soap opera stuff during that episode. Like we touched on earlier, the interview with Trish Tilby, her being messy and everything. We got Cyclops and Jean going at it. You know, Jean being mad at Cyclops, even though she just kissed Logan before, and now she mad at him. I'm like, I'm not saying he shouldn't have done that, but also, you calling kettle black, man. All right. So we were already heavy on that. We got, you know, Kurt calling out Gambit for not just going for Rogue. Like, there was, what was that? Actually, I took notes too. Let me pull my. He said scoundrels like me. I'm not. I was about to try to do the voice, but no, my Gambit voice isn't that good yet. I got to work on it. Scoundrels like me, we too busy for love, too busy sinning. And then he says, "There is no love without sin." I was like,
ooh.
Oh, okay. But yeah,
preach it.
Oh, speaking of Nightcrawler, another good Instagram account, Black Nerd Problems. They always post X-Men 97 related memes. They do not miss at all. Like, there, like what was the episode Bright Eyes, where you know there's the Gambit funeral, and they show Kurt in his preacher get up, and they have him preaching like a old school Black Baptist preacher. Like I was like, if I find that, I'll post it in here when I do my editing. But it was quite hilarious. But then, you know, Tori, like you said, you know, they explained Magneto and Rogue. Like, I'm trying to tell people who aren't familiar. I'm like, it was Rogue and Magneto slightly before it was Rogue and Gambit. Like Gambit had just joined the team. They're off in space at the same, right, in the same issue. He's in space, you know, doing the Shi'ar thing. So it was Rogue and Magneto then. You know, they do the explanation there. They get Gambit, you know, being like, you know what, we're just gonna be friends for now, and which is, I think, is a nod to right after A versus X happened. Magneto and Rogue were trying to make it happen again, and Gambit was like, you know what, go ahead, get that out your system.
Right.
I know it's me and you, but you gotta get over that. Go ahead, get that out the way. So I was like, okay, that's them paying homage to that. So then we see Leech, and first of all, shit starts happening.
Yeah,
everybody's dying, and yeah, and they say, oh, the Morlocks were stuck wherever they were stuck at. and Gambit goes to go save them. I'm like, are we doing a like, because it's literally a mutant massacre happening. Right? Are we also hinting at the fact that Gambit was feeling guilty about when he was, in the comics, him having a hand in the actual mutant massacre? So him being the one to go save the Morlocks, I was like, this feels too close to have not been done on purpose.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
So first they remind us that Leech had that conversation with Magneto. He's like, oh, Callisto will save us. If not Callisto, Magneto. He promised I'd never be afraid again. I'm like, he damn sure did promise that.
He did. I didn't think he was gonna keep his promise though, but he did.
He did. And the first thing that got me. So first of all, again, I'm already like, I wasn't close to tears yet, but just feeling all that emotional tension.
Yeah.
Whole episode. When Leech looks up at Magneto, that got me, because I think what happened there subconsciously, being a dad, anytime I see kids in anything, I automatically replace them with my kids. So I saw my son looking up at me, and I was done. I was done. And even just that look, like I feel like he knew this was the end, but I don't think he died feeling like Magneto let him down. Fair. I feel like I was like, you know what, Magneto's going to keep his promise to die trying.
Right next to him.
Right. So I'm even feeling it right now. Let me shut up.
I mean, you're not wrong. That's the burden, I think, of actually when you have kids is, man, any scenes like that, you immediately, you connect it to what your relation is to that, and you immediately, and again, I will go back to what I said earlier about the redemptive arc. This is a man who's trying to do better.
Right.
He's trying to do better. And these are, it's not by his actions. It's not something that he's done that somebody's come back after him to try to be like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and actually go after you. It wasn't anything like that. And that's the tough part of it, is that you see that and you're just like, innocence actually just lost because of bigotry, because people who are just crappy humans, or crappy biohumans, whatever you want to call Bastion, that bastard. There we go.
Bastion's bastard cyborgs. That line. Yo, as you were hitting that earlier, just now, my favorite Magneto line. I mean, he's got tons of great lines. Everybody's got tons of great lines.
Right?
But when he said, I am trying to do better, do not make me let you down. Like that whole speech was fire. And that tear, that single tear, but the end of that, do not make me let you down. If I let you down, it's y'all's fault.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that.
He said what he said.
And before I get to my second set of tears, Magneto whipping the Sentinel with a train. like Django
Unchained. Boy, that's exactly what I thought.
That was hilarious to me. But this one thing, like Gambit dying did not get me. Really? I was like, yeah. I mean, I love Gambit. I was upset that he died, but I'm like, if you gonna go out, that's how you go out.
Well, that part.
As soon right after I saw him get impaled in the side, I was like, he finna blow up that Sentinel. And then I saw that smile, like, yep.
And that line.
My boy. The name is Gambit. Remember it. Yeah. But what got me, now if it was just this, I think I'd have been fine. But because the waterfall was already going, I was just that much more open to it. Sugar, I can't feel you.
That took me out.
Yeah.
That right there. The delivery of that line.
Yes.
Took me out.
Yes.
And it was a black screen.
Right. Just went straight to black. Yes. And then that sad ass version of the X-Men thing came through. I'm like, y'all.
Stop, y'all. It's too much. It's too much.
I'm a Bo de Mayo.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying this in the most praiseworthy, I'm giving you your flowers right now, you're amazing way possible. Fuck you for making me cry over a cartoon on a Wednesday morning. For making me feel feelings.
I believe
All the
you're
feelings.
I'm sorry, Byron, you're pronouncing that wrong. I think you're trying to, the way it's pronounced is thank you. That's the way you pronounce it.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's what I really meant. Yes.
Yeah, thank you
Different
so much.
dialect.
Like I said, that I meant that in the most respectful, I love you way possible. But I was don't do that to me.
Mhm. I was definitely in my feelings at work over a cartoon.
I needed a nap and I needed a drink. I needed a cigarette, and I barely drink and I don't smoke. I needed all of them.
The cigarette.
Yeah.
Sarah, how do you feel about that?
Oh, it took because I love him. I have many boyfriends, and they all live on Graymalkin Lane.
Yes.
So yeah, I was right there. Yeah, for all of the same reasons of like ticking all the boxes of being a scoundrel, a hero, a fighter, all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, like, it was his royal flush. Like, that
Right.
was the move. And executed flawlessly. Rogue's reaction, just, whew, all of that. But I would like to add some more pain if I could.
Yes.
Okay.
Just hurt us. Hurt us some more.
I mean, by all means, yes,
we already there.
It's just therapy. It's therapy. Go ahead.
It is.
Share.
Everybody else that was there, Maddie and Cable. Nate coming back saying,
Mm,
Mom. And that's it.
that part.
Oh.
That part.
Hold on.
Ooh.
You forgot. Actually, that's a great entree. It's fantastic. Let me
Yeah.
add this little side plate of Jean saying, I felt her and she was happy. She was happy right before then. Let me add that little side of fries right there for you.
Thank
just
you.
to make sure.
Thank you for the seasoning.
The seasoning. There you go. That's actually that's exactly what it is. That you basically get that on top of it. And you have this weird, it was, that scene was a little reminiscent when he came back. It was a little reminiscent of Terminator, which was actually really, really
Yes.
cool.
Yeah,
like in its own weird way. Like the fact that actually that he's coming back to try to save her and he's just like, and she recognizes him. She's at first like, what, who? And she's like, it's Nate. And he's just like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Mom. And then she was just like, you made it. Her thing was just like any other parent. You made it. You made it. I know I sent you into the future. I didn't know what was going to happen to you, but you made it. You're here. You're alive. You've made it.
Mm-hmm.
All that uncertainty went out the window. The fact that you made it. That's
Yeah.
So side question for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
We know before we get into the finale, we know Jean doesn't season her food. but does Maddie season hers?
Oh, yeah.
Maddie does.
No, she does. She's got those red pepper flakes right here.
Speaking of which,
like a little spice.
yes. Sarah, I know you mentioned all your boyfriends live on Graymalkin Lane.
Yes.
Psylocke is still my boo. She's still my number one.
Yes.
However, I might be going to the dark side because Goblin Queen and Deathbird.
Oh, yeah.
Some for you.
Yes.
Oh
man, yo, I was
Yes.
I was telling Naya, I was like, I have never ever gave a flying flock of birds about a woman's fingernails, right? Like, I mean, if your nails look nice, they look nice, but it's never been like an appeal to me.
Right.
For some reason, when I see it on Maddie, but sometimes when I see it on cosplay girls when they do their goth stuff, them black sharp nails. I don't know why, but I'm like, girl, just lightly rub that across my chest. Like, I don't know why that is a turn off for me. I didn't know it was a thing for me until recently.
Okay.
But
It's a great look.
When she told Scott, don't follow me if you will, but don't. When she did that hair flip, the hand on the hip, and the look, I was like,
Clutch your pearls.
Am I in love now? And then
Right?
Deathbird with her problematic ass, like
Our galaxy's the problem. Our
Oh,
Milky
yeah.
Way.
right, yeah.
That-
I mean, she called it like aliens blow their windows up when they go by. Like
that ghetto over there. I was just like,
Milky
what?
Way
Fine.
ghetto. Oh
You're
my
right,
god.
Milky Way ghetto. I'm sorry. I feel like at some point, again, I'm always thinking like a cosplayer, so that's actually always going to be sort of in the forefront. I really need to get a group together of some Milky Way ghetto fabulous people.
Yes.
Milky Way ghetto.
Yes.
Just walking around the convention. Where are you from? I'm from the Milky Way ghetto.
Oh, y'all, that same episode. What was it? What was the line? If I didn't know any better, I think your man thinks of me as your pet. And then Alondra's like, you can bark later. So I was like,
Yeah.
what kind of creepy shit is this? That
X-Men, baby.
wow.
She are some wild people.
Yo, that reminded me,
X-Men, baby.
one of my favorite comic lines ever. I think that 275 when they first went to, not first went because they've been a few times. They had just came through. Deathbird brought them back into space, and there's this one Shi'ar chick who says to Forge, "Are you the same? Are you the same gender and race as the consort? Is that the word?"
The consort.
And he was like, "Yes." He said, "Oh, well, splendid. I'm such and such." And I was like, the first time I read it, I didn't catch it, but reading as an adult, I'm like, is she flirting before? And she was cute too. I was like, he was like, "Be still, my heart." I was like,
She one of those robo thighs.
right? He's about to forget about Storm for a second. Yeah.
So, I wanted to also mention that again as a highlight of this season, that Madeline Pryor transformation, Sailor Moon style.
Yes.
That was, I will say, there was nothing like, again, it's we talked about this earlier that, obviously there's not every fandom is for everybody, but the fact that you can do the whole, here it is, I love this. Every time I see this meme, I love it. The Leonardo DiCaprio meme that he's doing that, like, he's like,
yes,
right there.
Yes.
That meme. Every time, actually, when they had references like that, that's exactly how I was on my couch. I was like, right there. See that? Sailor Moon, right there.
And speaking of crossing fandoms in the anime, why was every fight scene a Dragon Ball Z fight scene?
It was DBZ and Marvel vs. Capcom. I'm like, I know that move.
Right. Yeah. Shoot, Storm hit him with the typhoon in the very first episode.
Yep.
Shoot, and we even got WWE because Rogue RKO'd somebody. She RKO'd that Sentinel and then threw his head at somebody.
Yeah.
Yep. All of that stuff.
They what was it? I feel like there was another. Oh, Cyclops hit him with the Behold Dr. Blast in the finale because he crossed his arms right before he hit him with that super big Dr. Blast.
Oh yeah, he's like, stay away, like don't hurt my family or stay away from my family. Just like unloaded, like like it was the screen was filled with optic blast. I honestly thought he was gonna do that. I didn't sort of expect that, but I honestly felt, especially because it was right before or right after he had him and Jean had talked to Cable and were just sort of giving their goodbyes. Yeah. I thought he was just gonna be like, "Don't hurt my family." He was just gonna go like this, like you're not gonna get untapped. This is completely unfiltered. Here, I'm gonna take all of this off. You gonna have all of it. You gonna take all the smoke now.
You're gonna get the summers. Smoke. You're gonna get the fall. You're gonna get the spring.
You're gonna get all the seasons.
That was great. That was gold right there.
I'm gonna hit you so hard you gonna get all the cable channels.
Yeah. Well.
even the squiggly line.
Especially the squiggly line.
This show did have. I will say, actually, that's the other thing, that this show had so many amazing. Like, come on. I mean, just for a moment, just so many either emotions that were running and goosebumps tell me how many of us weren't sitting there and they're fighting the Sentinels and Cyclops, and you see everybody fighting and everybody's in unison. I hadn't noticed Storm wasn't there.
Me neither. Yeah.
And then he just goes, pop, show him the forecast. And the fact that she's walking and the lightning is making glass.
That I didn't catch that the first time. I was like,
yeah.
Is this chick making glass?
Yes. Have been to my will. And I'm like,
Yo,
and then I gotta be honest with you. I'm pretty sure if you pause it in the right time, I'm almost positive them Sentinels were throwing little Sentinels out their butts because they were like Omega level mutant, whatever. Like they were like, oh, she coming.
Yo, two quick things about that episode. So I feel like there's a lot of parallels to the first 2 episodes of the original. Because in that one, X-Men got their asses handed to them by the Sentinels. Completely flipped this time.
In the forest.
Yeah.
And
Gambit says to Cyclops, give them an eyeful. This time Cyclops is like, Storm, give him the forecast.
Give him the forecast.
And speaking of Storm, you know, Storm is written differently in the cartoon than in the comics. Like when I try to, and this is not a diss to Miss Seeley Smith. You are amazing. If you're watching this, I'm not sure if you will ever see this, but you are amazing if you ever watch this.
Yes.
But she's not written with all the like the fanfare and announcing her powers in the comics. Like when I try to read the comics with the same voice, like it don't work for me. Like I kind of have to read her with the Pride of the X-Men voice instead. Bishop same too, because Bishop is kind of a little uptight in the comics, whereas in the cartoon he's a little more.
Oh yeah, he was cool. Yeah. He was like cool uncle, like hanging out.
Right.
Yeah.
Now with Storm's lines, yeah, she still has that announcement, that fanfare, that pomp and circumstance, but like her lines hit harder this time.
Yeah, and they were simple too. Like if you were
simple and powerful,
text and type that out, like it, incredible delivery.
Yeah. All right,
so I gotta pull a Nightcrawler, and I've got a Bamf out of here.
Okay,
know, because but this was an amazing discussion, and I loved. We could talk about this for at least a solid 3 days, 3 solid days,
right.
Of just talking through, breaking down. That's before I go. I just got to mention one of my other favorite scenes: the Nightcrawler Wolverine tag team show.
Yes.
Was.
And the teleportation.
Yes,
like that shit,
exquisite.
Nightcrawler, I please keep him as a series regular. Please do.
Yes.
That's all I ask. I love me some Nightcrawler. Just Sarah, just like you, my heart was full. My heart was full when I saw Nightcrawler had his own thing at the beginning credits. I was like, thank you so much. And with that, I have to go ahead and depart. This was amazing. Thank you, Myron, for inviting me.
No problem, man. Thanks for coming. We're not too far behind you.
All right, you guys have a good rest of your night.
Thanks for coming,
again.
man.
Yes. Great to meet you. Take care.
All right, so I'm gonna wrap a few questions all up into one here, so we can get on.
Okay.
Predictions / stuff you want to see in season 2. Go for it.
I want to see my boy come back to life. The little card in the extra scene in the finale.
Yes. As soon as I knew we weren't doing like a time erasure thing, like Cable saving everything, as soon as that I knew that wasn't happening, I was like, yeah, Horseman of Death is happening.
Yeah. Gambit coming back, that would make my heart happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, they've got their setup. I like the team being askew, and I like that we don't know where the third is.
Yes.
Storm, Wolverine, Morph.
Yes.
I like that they're MIA. My predictions, X Factor.
Oh.
Yes.
Because the timing of everything with the team, because we have Roberto and he's in his New Mutants suit, which is interesting.
Yep.
That is
so
true.
they're playing around some timelines and or timing of certain characters, and I think it works. But yeah, I'm thinking X Factor or X Force.
Because Cable's there. Yeah.
Cable leads both teams. The OG teams were both Cable.
Yeah.
And the fact that Bishop was lean and then came back, I think we're gonna have that lean in on the future side, and it's going to get into also mutants that aren't on Forge's, MIA sort of Days of Future Past rework, like who's here, who's not, like roll call. Are we going to move forward to X-23 then? Is Weapon X around? What's happening there? Domino. Bo said, don't touch Deadpool, probably because of the movie, but he didn't say anything about seasons 2 and 3. Havoc, we still have. We know that Polaris is there. We saw Strong Guy helping on the Genosha cleanup. So we have that. We saw Puck with Psylocke for a second.
Yeah. And
So
multiple man is there too. We don't have confirmation that he's dead.
Yeah, or, I mean, one of them.
Right.
But yeah, I think we saw Alpha Flight. So there's a lot of teams, the rest of the New Mutants, like we see Magic via Morph, but like Magic, Danny Moonstar,
Cannonball's already there.
I think there's a lot, and then I've got to speak to my fellow, all the Gen X people. Monet, can you imagine Penance going in and just destroying verbally, emotionally, psychologically, and physically?
Yes,
on all levels.
And Jubilee is still there too. So we get some Jubilee and M fighting over Sync, or maybe not fighting over Sync, but Sync needs to be there too.
Sync, Chamber, Husk. So there's a lot of teams that are still untapped. But I'm gonna lead with X Force or X Factor just because of Cable. I feel like, and with the fallout of everything, maybe X Force.
Yeah.
Because it has a little bit of an edge. They have a little bit of the militant edge that the current environment is calling for. If they go back to this timeline, so what? Fall of 97, early 98.
Right. Speaking of that, if you listen to what's coming on the radio as they show the front of the mansion and the ruins of it, the gates being barred, the little visual tours there, we hear Graydon Creed running for is going against Robert Kelly.
Kelly,
Senator.
Robert
Kelly.
Senator Kelly. Yeah. Did I just say Robert Kelly? Shit. Okay.
It's okay.
But yeah, so I think he was hinting at that earlier. He's like, hey, you Cyclops, you throwing shade at us. I'm trying to keep somebody who's less sensitive to your plight from getting in.
Yes, I do remember that.
So like that must have been who he was talking about, Graydon Creed. I also got hints of like, how after the Outback era, y'all, for those of y'all don't know at home, Forge had learned that the X-Men weren't dead, and it was him and Banshee, R.I.P. Banshee, because he got obliterated in episode 5. Him and Meryl, dang, and Meryl being the one that Gambit saved from the mutant massacre. Anyway, I'm jumping all over the place. Forge and Banshee were the ones looking to try to find the X-Men. So kind of similar thing, but it's Bishop instead of Banshee. Along with Gambit, I'm hoping we spend a little bit of time with Bone Claw Wolverine. But I thought about that too. Yeah. I want to see that. I don't want to see Noseless Wolverine though. Yeah.
It's the Bone Claw. I'm good.
But how he gets his adamantium back is, I think they had given it to Sabretooth, and him and Sabretooth were fighting over they were being made to fight to see who was going to be the next war of the Horsemen of Apocalypse. And Wolverine was like, we can't have Sabretooth having adamantium, so I guess I got to win. So that's how he gets his, I don't know if I butchered that. I read about it, but didn't read it, so I could be getting something wrong. that's how he gets his adamantium back. So I'm like, okay, Wolverine's war, Gambit's death. Sunfire was a horseman at some point. Polaris was a horseman at some point. I don't think Archangel, because he's already been there, done that. So I don't know that. I don't think he's going to re up on that. So I'm just interested to see, because if we're seeing Apocalypse both present and in the past, there's no way that he's not at least a big bad, if not the big bad of this next season. So I'm like, we're getting a set of horsemen at some point, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that, and Sarah, like you said, I'm like, there's at least got to be a new squad of X-Men for the present. Like I want to see a bit of. I think we would get some bottled episodes. Like we're going to spend a whole episode in the past, a whole episode in the future, a whole episode here. But I do want to see a good bit of back and forth. Like, okay, what's happening in the present? What roster of X-Men do we have here? Psylocke. Yeah, I do want to see X Factor. I do want to see X-Force. I'm like, I don't know if I'm asking too much, because I don't want to like dilute things, but I do think it's a perfect opportunity to show people other than who's on the roster right now. So yeah, that's what I got.
I'm with you.
So before we get out of here, y'all, just plug yourselves. I'm not gonna say shamelessly plug, because I think we got to stop saying shamelessly plug. So just plug yourself. You know, anything I got going on. Where can people find you? All of that.
All right, I'll go first. Royalty Cosplay. You can find me on Insta. I think the next con for me might be MomoCon 2024. Maybe. But if not, definitely my fave con, DragonCon. So I'll see y'all there.
Hey.
Nice. Well, I'm Sara Moni. You can find me all socials, Sara Moni Cosplay. Lots of cosplay, lots of X-Men, a little bit of other stuff, some fun modeling, a little bit of geeky stuff, but the mutants are home for me. So
Amen to that. Oh,
follow if you're down with the X gene.
Yes. Sarah, speaking of which, I just put in an order for 3 new dreadlock wigs. One of them is bright green. Now all I gotta do is convince my family that I can go to a con that is on Easter weekend.
Oh.
Yeah, because that's WonderCon always for some. You said it's always on Easter weekend, right?
Almost always.
Always. All right, but yeah, we'll figure it out. We've been kind of hinting at Gender Bend, Polaris, and Havoc this for a while, so I'm gonna try and make it myself. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. And
It'll be awesome.
Toya, if you're there, if you're at MomoCon on Sunday, you will see a certain person there with me, and I am working on her costume as we speak. So yeah.
Is it one of my favorite littles?
It is.
Oh.
So Princess Vegeta will be there.
I love it.
I'm finishing up the armor, but we got her some little wedge heel boots. We got the princess gloves instead of the regular gloves. We got her Saiyan Scouter, but also got her little tiara. I decided against gelling out the Saiyan the Vegeta hair, because I'm like, you know what, I've worked too hard already. We just gonna throw it out. That's gonna be it.
Yeah,
but yeah. So Nappa and Princess Vegeta Sunday.
The princess of all Saiyans. I love it.
Right, I like that.
Yeah. All right, thank y'all so much again for coming back, and for, I mean, I know it's not a burden for y'all to talk about X-Men, so, but yeah, thank y'all for recapping this season. Hopefully we'll be able to do it again next year. But that's it. Y'all have a good night. Everyone at home, y'all have a good night, and I will see y'all at the next video. Peace.
Thanks for having us. Bye.
Thank you. Mutant proud. Mutant proud.